This is the Great Vocal Majority videocast. To date, the sabotaging of the Trump presidency. The current opposition to President Trump is not grassroots resistance. Its violent nature also raises questions regarding the loyalty of the opposition. Simply opposing any president on policy is not a sign of disloyalty. Disloyalty comes from the nature of the opposition. In this video, you will be presented with a powerful circumstantial case that former President Obama has intentionally sought to subvert the Trump presidency. That subversion was manifested in different ways. One avenue of that subversion was the rewriting of rules governing the use of intercepted communications. Another was using his campaign organization to arrange street protests, some of which turned violent. Still another was using current and former Obama appointees, both still in government and out of it, to conspire together for ways to block the Trump agenda. What is different about the most recent presidential election and transition is that this represents the first time that an outsider, someone not a member of the Washington, D.C. political, academic, or media establishments, ascended to the presidency. Trump's promise to reform the Washington establishment has sent waves of unbridled panic throughout the power structure, and they are suspicious and even paranoid about what Mr. Trump plans to do. The fear is so profound, they are endeavoring to neutralize his presidency. So far, those efforts have not been successful. Okay. Let's get started connecting the dots. Obama spent nearly entire NSC. On February 7, 2017, Michael Warren of the Weekly Standard reported that the Trump administration disputed claims that the Obama White House drained the budget of the National Security Council prior to leaving office. While Warren is correct to point out that Obama paid accumulated leave for NSC staff, he did not dispute the claim that the annual budget was, in fact, drained. Nor did the article dispute the claim that there were budgetary problems that caused the Trump team to delay hiring and forced them to rely on NSC staff already in place loyal to Obama. This has been the primary strategy of Obama and the Democrats: keep their loyalist in place for as long as possible, to do as much damage as possible, as quickly as possible. Obama changed NSA rules on intel sharing. Just a little over a week before leaving office, Obama expanded the power of the National Security Agency to share intercepted personal communications with the government's 16 other intel agencies before applying privacy protections. On January 12, Charlie Savage of the New York Times reported that Obama gave the NSA more latitude to share intercepted communications. According to the Times, the new rules significantly relaxed long-standing limits on what the NSA may do with information gathered by its most powerful surveillance operations, which are largely unregulated by American wiretapping laws. The article went on to say that Obama did this knowing it risked revealing private information about innocent people. In order to get this done, Obama needed the cooperation of the Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, and the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper.
This action by Obama opened the doors for his political operatives remaining anywhere in a national security state to have access to signals intelligence they were not previously given access to. And that allowed for politically motivated leaks of highly classified and private information. Now, this change in the rules just prior to leaving office enabled holdovers, of which there were many from the Obama administration, who were still loyal to him and his agenda, but also intensely opposed to the new administration and its policy agenda. It allowed them to sift through signals intelligence that they were able to then leak to friendly news media in an effort to subvert and undermine the new presidential administration.
Obama aids mutiny in the federal workforce. About 2.5 weeks later, on January 31, the Washington Post reported that federal workers planned to push back against Trump. To quote the article, federal workers are in regular consultation with recently departed Obama-era political appointees about what they can do to push back against the president's new initiatives. Unquote. This is much more than a case of insubordination. Let's be absolutely clear. political operatives of the former administration that is no longer in power, some of whom are still in the federal government, and some who are not, are actively conspiring with federal employees to sabotage the implementation of policies they oppose from the duly elected President of the United States. This is clearly sedition and a threat to the legitimate authority of the President to govern. Coupled with the expanded capacity of the NSA and the publicizing of confidential communications between President Trump and other heads of state, America is facing a clear and present threat to the survival of constitutional government.
Our Bloomberg View columnist Eli Lake, who I just talked about, Circuit News national security correspondent Sarah Carter, and New York Post columnist Paul Sperry. I want to go to you, Eli, and start with this because, first of all, the political assassination of Michael Flynn is a pretty provocative title here. Normally, intercepts of U.S. officials and citizens are some of the most tightly held government secrets for good reason, selectively disclosing details of private conversations monitored by the FBI and NSA gives the permanent state the power to destroy. This is what police states do. The permanent state, define that.
Well, it's the national security bureaucracy. It includes everything from the administrative side of the Pentagon, elements of the sort of career military, the CIA, the FBI. It's the people who would have possession of these kinds of intercepts, and we trust them. It is a public trust that this stuff does not get out into the public willy-nilly, because when you kind of selectively disclose it, you can ruin someone, because it's an extraordinary power to be able to listen to someone's phone calls or read their emails like that.
Yeah, and I think what's really important here is this is, I have two articles here. One is by Kenneth Timmerman. He wrote a book back in 2007 called Shadow Warriors about the intelligence community and the damage that they can do. And there's a Time magazine piece by Sam Frizzell. All of these leaks, ever since Donald Trump got in the picture, you're saying to the country tonight, this is unprecedented. Not unprecedented, this is not common.
The last time I can remember anything like this happened was in 2009. It was about Jane Harmon. A lot of the press did not pick up that story. It was in CQ. But, we almost never see this kind of thing because it's not just U.S. citizens, it's also U.S. officials. This is the kind of thing that happens in banana republics when the national police will go after a political leader that they don't like and using these extraordinary powers. And we trust the NSA and the FBI to use these powers to catch criminals and terrorists, but that should not interfere in our politics. And that stuff is interfering right now in our politics because Mike Flynn was President Trump's choice.
There's no other way we could have gotten that information if it weren't leaked from somebody in the intelligence community. Again.
Well, no. I mean, the question really is, the other thing is this. Most senior officials who have high clearances can't see the names of the people in these intercepts.
All right,
so that's the other thing. Yeah. They're redacted.
What a great point.
Obama is using his campaign organization, Organizing for Action, OFA, to foster and train militant adherents. While this group is not militaristic at this time, Obama has spoken of creating such a force in the past. Coupled with his acts of sedition and subversion within the government, this force of street protester organizers could easily become radicalized in extreme under certain conditions.
We cannot continue to rely only on our military in order to achieve the national security objectives that we've set. We've got to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, just as well-funded.
Prior to his run for president in 2008, Obama created Obama for America, his campaign organization. Typically, after a campaign ends, the campaign organization is disbanded. But being a street organizer, Obama maintained the campaign organ under a different name, Organizing for America. This organization became his re-election campaign organization. After leaving office in 2017, OFA had another name change and became Organizing for Action. This is the group that exists today, and they are actively recruiting and training thousands of disciples around the country. At this reading, they claim to have 40,000 members.
Obama's undermining of President Trump. As of mid-February 2017, where are we? First, we have a new president, who is seeking to fulfill a campaign promise to change the direction of the country. We also have an effort by Obama loyalists to commit sedition against the United States. And 3, the effort to commit sedition has been clearly documented by the news media. 4, the effort to commit sedition includes federal employees, Obama loyalists in and out of government, his campaign organization, Democrat members of Congress, and elements of the news media, along with members of the intelligence community.
America is in a dangerous place right now, but President Trump is not responsible for it. Responsibility lies with the entrenched political establishment in Washington, D.C. that sees Trump as a threat to them. Attorney General Jeff Sessions should immediately appoint a special prosecutor to investigate the leaks that led to the resignation of General Flynn, as well as other highly classified information. Furthermore, the investigation should extend to fleshing out those news reports that Obama and his allies have been working to undermine the Trump presidency in a clear act of sedition. Thanks for watching this presentation of the Great Vocal Majority. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, which will include links to the news articles cited in this video.